My name is Vitani, and I don't know my father. Help me. Comment below. Who is Vitani's father?
Imagine if everything we knew about Vitani was wrong, and the truth was far more complex than we ever imagined. We always saw Kovu as the heir chosen by Zira for Scar. But why didn't Vitani have the same importance? Why was she so different from Kovu in both appearance and personality? There are secrets that have yet to be revealed, secrets that could completely change our perception of what happened in the Pride Lands. There is a strong possibility that Vitani was never Scar's daughter to begin with. If she were truly his daughter, why didn't Zira treat her the same way she treated Kovu? Why didn't she have the same status? The simple reason might be that Vitani was not Scar's daughter at all, but rather the daughter of another lion, possibly even one from the Pride Lands. This would explain why she looked different from the rest of the Outlanders, and why, in the end, she chose to turn against Zira and join Kiara instead of continuing down the path of revenge. She has striking blue eyes, unlike Nuka, who has red eyes, and Kovu, who has green ones. Her fur color is closer to golden, setting her apart from the dark gray or brown tones that characterize the rest of the Outlanders. She has a small, athletic build, whereas Nuka appears scrawnier and weaker, and Kovu has a strong, muscular physique. She possesses a rational and balanced personality compared to Nuka, who is constantly erratic, and Kovu, who was aggressive at first but changed after meeting Kiara. She is often shown slightly apart from her siblings in scenes, or given different tasks, hinting at a difference in how Zira treated her compared to Kovu and Nuka. Unlike Kovu, she did not undergo the same training under Zira, but instead developed her combat skills independently. Blue eyes are rare among adult lions, making them an exceptionally uncommon trait. If Zira and Scar were truly her parents, it would be impossible for her to inherit this feature. Throughout the Lion King films, no other adult lion has blue eyes, suggesting there is a hidden truth behind her character design. Her golden fur makes her resemble the lions of the Pride Lands more than the Outlanders. But what if there was an even bigger secret? What if Zira had originally intended for her to be Scar's heir instead of Kovu? Perhaps she saw in her the qualities of a true leader, but later replaced her with Kovu because he resembled Scar more, or was simply a more acceptable choice. This raises another question. Who is Vitani's real father? Scar may not have been her father at all. She may belong to another lion outside the Outlander circle. There is a possibility that she is Mufasa's daughter, which would give her an undisclosed royal lineage. She could be Nala's half-sister, explaining their similar sharp intellect and strategic minds. Perhaps she was the result of a relationship between Scar and Nala during his reign, meaning she shares a blood connection with Kiara. Or she could simply be a cub from the Pride Lands who was found amid the chaos during the battle to reclaim the throne. Zira never refers to Vitani as my daughter, whereas she constantly calls Kovu my son. There is never any hint that Scar was her father, while there is a clear confirmation that he chose Kovu as his heir. During the final confrontation, Vitani was the first to rebel against Zira and defect, indicating that her bond with Zira was not as deep as that of a mother and daughter. Now, for the most shocking possibility. What if Mufasa himself was Vitani's father? It may seem illogical at first, but it explains many things. If Mufasa had a past relationship with Zira, it could explain why Zira had such a strange loyalty to Scar. Perhaps it wasn't true love, but rather revenge against Mufasa for not giving her the status she desired. This would also explain why Vitani's appearance was so different from Kovu and the rest of the Outlanders. She was never truly one of them, and if this theory were true, it would mean Vitani carried royal blood all along, but never knew it. Regardless of who her true father was, Vitani had her own ambitions and was never content to remain in the shadows. There was always tension between her and Kovu, not just as siblings, but as an unspoken struggle for power. Vitani never wanted to be just a follower. Perhaps she saw herself as more deserving of ruling, or maybe she felt that Kovu was not the right leader. Over time, this tension turned into a real conflict, especially after Kovu began to grow closer to Kiara and drift away from Zira's original plan. Perhaps Zira originally intended for Vitani to succeed Scar, but later changed her mind and chose Kovu. There was an underlying rivalry between her and Kovu for leadership, and perhaps she had been plotting all along to seize the throne. If Scar was indeed her real father, she might have harbored a hidden desire for revenge and to reclaim his legacy. But rather than fighting Kovu directly, Vitani had a different plan. A temporary alliance with him. She knew that the real enemy standing in their way was Simba, the one responsible for Scar's death. If Scar was their father, that meant Simba had robbed them of their father and their rightful claim to the throne. So she decided to work with Kovu to eliminate Simba, not just for Zira, but for her own future. Despite all of these events, one thing was certain. Vitani was not like Kovu. She never saw herself as merely a tool in Zira's hands, but as someone with her own will. And perhaps that is why, in the final moment, when she saw that Zira's path would only lead to ruin, she chose to turn against her and join Kiara. Maybe this wasn't just a shift in loyalty, but a late realization of her true identity. Perhaps Vitani was never really an outlander, as she had believed all her life. Perhaps a part of her belonged to the Pride Lands more than she had ever imagined.